Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, just Daf It. Today we're doing Nedarim, Daf Lamed Daled, number 34. A great share for you today. We're going to talk about returning a lost object, Mitzvah Hashavas Aveda. Do you do Hashavas Aveda when there's a neder in place? Let's get started. Machzer la Avedas. The Mishnah says that you do return to Aveda. Towards the bottom of Lamed Gilon Abayis is Pligi Bar Rabbi Ami or Rabbi Yasi. Rabbi Ami Rashi had a machlokas about our Mishnah. The only time we return to Aveda is when the Nechasim of the Machzir, meaning let's call Ruvain lost the object and Shimon found the object. Shimon wants to return it. So when the possessions of the Machzir of Shimon, right, Ruvain can't benefit from Shimon. Right? Ruvain can't get benefit from Shimon. Shimon's allowed to return the Aveda because at the end of the day, he's doing a mitzvah, but who does the object belong to? You don't lose possession of your object when it's lost. It still belongs to you. You're not really doing anything. You're doing a nice thing to give it back to the guy, but you're not benefiting him financially. It belonged to him. However, when Shimon can't get better from Ruvain, Lo Kamahadle, the Mishnah would not include that case. In that case, you wouldn't return it. You're not allowed to return it. The Kamahani lay Pruta de Rav Yosef. The Gemara Baba Kama talks about that when you're engaged in the mitzvah Hashavas Aveda, you're osek with mitzvah. So you're patra min mitzvah, and part of the mitzvah Hashavas Aveda before you return it to actually watch over the item. So while you're watching over the item, a poor person comes to your door, and normally you give tzedakah to the poor person, but you don't have to do it because since you're watching the Aveda, so osek a mitzvah patra min mitzvah. So you're saving money. You don't have to give money to tzedakah. People say you're not saving money. Tzedakah, you get double back. But the Gemara really talks about it from a practical perspective. You are losing money, so you're financially benefiting. So he can't return it. He can't store the object in his house and return it to Ruvain because he's benefiting from it. V'chadamar, one of them, it doesn't say who it is, Rabbi Ami or Rabbi Asi. Chadamar afilu nichsei bal aveda asur al machzir mahadjalei. The Mishnah is talking about both cases. Even if they're both asur to get enough from each other, nonetheless he would return it. The reason that we're not worried about saving the pruta is because it's not commonplace while you're watching the object for an enemy to come to the door. How often do poor people come to your house? Not so often. Depends which neighborhood you live in. It's not the top of Lamed Aleph. Malcolm Shenotlin Schar people in Allah Hekdesh. The Mishnah concludes in a place where there's a returner's fee, right? And people who engage in returning objects, right? They're busy with watching the object, returning the object, posting signs of I found your Ravkov, your bus pass, posting signs all over the neighborhood. So you take a fee for this, right? The time and the effort that I have to put into returning this object, take a fee. So therefore, right? If both people are also to get enough from each other, so the money, right, the returner's fee, that money is consecrated. It's also for them both to get enough. So you give it to Hekdesh, and that way you avoid the problem. You can return it, and that money will go to Hekdesh. According to Mandamar, it says, even if they're both also to get enough from each other, you still return it. In a place where there's a returner's fee. That money can't be given to either of them, so therefore it has to go to Hekdesh. According to the first opinion, that says that the Mishnah was only talking about one case. However, when the Baal Aveda, the possessions of Baal Aveda of Ruvain are asur on Shimon, Shimon can't get benefit from Ruvain, so he doesn't return the item because he's benefiting financially. Amai people and Allah Hekdesh. Right? Why should the returner's fee? Fine, he can't collect the returner's fee, Shimon, because he's benefiting. But at least let the returner's fee go. Right? Give it to Ruvain, right? And you can't benefit from that returner's fee, but give it to Ruvain. Why do you have to give it to Hekdesh? Right? Really, when it says Makom Tibulan Ala Hekdesh, it's not talking about Daf Ala Hekdesh. It's talking about from the perspective of Shimon. He has to give it to Hekdesh, but technically, really, can give the money to Ruvain. Alternatively, there's a different way of conscripting the machlokes between Rav Ami and Ravasi. Pligi about Rav Ami and Ravasi. Chad Amar lo shana lo b'shnichsei ba'al aveda asroin al machzir. Ubishum pruta Rav Yosef lo shkiach. One of them says the Mishnah is only talking about a specific case when the Baal Aveda's nechasim are asr on the machzir, meaning Shimon can't benefit from Ruvain. Mishum pruta Rav Yosef lo shkiach. Right? And that's the only time that he can return it. And the reason that he's allowed to return it, because even though he's benefiting by giving money from stucco, that's not commonplace, so we're not worried about that. However, the other way, where Ruvain, who lost the object, can't benefit from Shimon, Shimon cannot return it to him because Ruvain is benefiting. He's getting his object back. So that's really a financial benefit. He lost his object. He couldn't find it. This guy is giving him his object back. And the other opinion says, even if they're both asr on each other, mutter. Like we saw this svara before. Really, I lost it. I don't have access to it right now, but you're returning me my object, so you didn't benefit me financially. Tanan. So let's try to bring a proof from our Mishnah to one of these sides. From a Mishnah, if there's a returner's fee. So the money has to go to Hekdesh. Neither of them can collect. Right? If you say, I'm just talking about it, even in the case where both of them are also to get enough from each other, you still return the object, right? Because neither of them can benefit from the returner's fee. So therefore, it goes to Hekdesh. According to the other opinion, the Mishnah is only talking about one case. It's talking about where the nechasim of the machzir of Shimon are asr on Ruvain, below Mahader, and therefore he can't return it. Heichim etards makom, right? If it's only talking about one case where he returns it, the one case where he returns it is the case where, right? The one case he returns it is where Shimon can't get benefit from Reuven. If Reuven can't get benefit from Shimon, he can't return it because you're giving back his object. He's benefiting financially. But the other way around, Shimon can get benefit. Heichim etards makom, right? Who's the prominent person over here? A returner's fee gets paid to the returner. So if that's the case on Mishnah, he's returning it in that case. He's allowed to because put the Rav Yosef lo shkiach, right? And that's directly what we're talking about. We're talking about him. That's the only case where he returns it. He can collect the returner's fee. He is not usher to get benefit from Reuven. That's not the case, right? He's allowed to get benefit from Reuven. So if he's allowed to get benefit from Reuven, why can't he collect the returner's fee? Or in the other way of formulating the machlokas, right? We were talking about giving the money to someone else. That's not so commonplace to give the money to the other person. But if you're the person in the returner's fee and you can get hana from Reuven, so why are you not taking it? Kasha. The Gemara says this is indeed a difficulty. Okay, that's how we leave off. The Gemara didn't tell you how we paskin. We'll have to discuss it at a different time. We look at the Ran. When I was learning Masechtas Nedarim in the Mir, I told people I loved Masechtas Nedarim more than any other Masechta because of the Ran. Even though the Ran is a little long, however, he's a lot easier to read than Tosfos. He explains it a lot more clear than Tosfos. Even though the Ran takes more time, but it's clear. And the other thing I love about the Ran is that he always gives a psak halacha. He always tells you after the sugya, let's look into the psak halacha, and he decides the psak halacha is machriya psak halacha, which you don't find in any other rishon. Maybe the Rush is not on the daf, but Tosfos definitely doesn't decide the halacha usually. Rashi also, so it's very nice to have on the page on the daf the Ran deciding the halacha. I love the Ran, even the Ran in the back of other Masechtas where he has a commentary on the Rif. The Ran is my favorite rishon, but I'm not telling you what the Ran says because this is a Bekiah shir, this is Daf Yomi shir, this is not an Ian shir. Top of Lamadal and base. I'm a Rava. How you sell the fun of Kikar shal hefker? Also, I didn't read the Ran in a long time. So, you think I read the Ran to prepare for this share? No, I don't need to read the Ran. I'm a Rava. How you sell the fun of Kikar shal hefker? You had in front of you a loaf of bread that was hefker, right? People threw it to the birds. It was 10 days old. I left it outside for the birds. Amar Kikar zu hektish. Alex have fun with this. He made it hektish. Now, we're not talking about Nedarim over here. We're talking mamish hektish. Hektish means it's property of the Beis Hamikdash. Kedusha is dumb, you can't be makdish a loaf of bread and bring it on the mizbeach. But you could give it to the gizbar, and he could sell it for whatever it's worth and get the money to use for karbanos or for bedek abayas. So, natla la'ochla, I was makdish it. Then I took it to eat it. Mal lefi kula. Whether I ate it or not, when I took it to eat it, mi'ila, right? If I steal something from hektish, right? If something is hektish, and I take it for myself, my intention is to take it for myself. I did meila right away because it's geneva. When you're gonev meila, that you made a kinyan geneva. When you steal something, you make a kinyan, right? It becomes bershuso, it becomes in your rishus. It's not shalom, it belongs to the gizbar, to the Beis Hamikdash. However, it becomes rishusah. So you've done an avera over here, you've done meila. Malafi kula, you have to pay, right? You have to return the object, and you also pay a chomish, also lefi kula, the entire value of the loaf of bread, however much the stale loaf of bread is worth. The horisha labanav, however you took it, you said, I don't want to benefit from stale bread. My kids though, they're not gonna have any money, so I'll give this stale loaf of bread to my kids. Malafi tuvas hanashaba. So then the meila is calculated. How much do you have to pay back? You don't pay back the entire value of the loaf of bread. You only the tuvas hanashaba, meaning your kids are going to be happy they're getting a Yerusha, right? If I do a favor, if I give someone a present, so there's something called tuvas hana, meaning they feel indebted to me. I gave someone a present, they feel indebted to me to pay me back. Now, you're not always going to pay back the gift that you gave. Part of giving a gift is that I'm giving it to you for free, but you feel a certain indebtedness to them, and you have to. There's an idea of milas chasadim in the Torah. So there's tuvas hana. Tuvas hana is whatever I would feel is proper to give to the guy to make up for the fact that he gave me something free. So the same thing when you're giving it to your children, which is less than the value of the kikar, and that's how you calculate the meila and the chomesh. He has a loaf of bread, and he says, my loaf of bread is aser with a neder to you. And then he gave it to him as a gift. Mahu. Is it aser for this person to benefit from this gift he was given? Kikari amarlo, he said, my bread, right, is aser to you. Ki isei bershusei hu da aser. When it's in my possession, then it's a neder. The neder applies. Odilma, and therefore now I gave it to you as a present, so it's not aser. Odilma alecha amarle. He said tulashon kikari alecha. Maybe he really stressed alecha, on you it's aser. Ilave shavise hekta. I made a hektish on you, whether it belongs to me or it belongs to you. So Amalei, he answered, Pshita da'afakav di'avale matana aser. Even if he gave it to him as a present, we stress the word alecha. The word alecha means that it's aser even if he gave it to you. So the Gemara retorts, Ela kikari alecha ala fuke mai. So if that's the case, why did he say kikari, right? My loaf of bread. Obviously he meant to exclude some case. That's what he was talking about, right? If he stole it from me, that's why he said kikari, right? I mean, if I gave it to matana, it's gonna be aser. Aren't we talking about if he stole it from you, right? In that case, that's why I said kikari, it's still mine. But the Gemara is saying the Gemara is asserting that's what it means, right? Kikari alecha. The reason he said kikari is not to tell me that if I gave it to you, right? Kikari alecha shouldn't be aser, because I gave it to you willingly. But if you stole it from me, that's why I say kikari alecha. Because if I decide not to give it, you steal it from me, then it's still my kikar, and it's aser to you. The Gemara rejects that. No, the reason he said kikari alecha, he said kikari, my loaf of bread, is to tell you that when it belongs to me, right? Even if I were to invite you to my house and dine with me, and you'd eat this loaf of bread, then because it still belongs to me, it's still kikari. I'm going to discuss this in Imad Ben Sion, the idea when you go to someone's house and he invites you to eat food at his house, who really owns the food? From this Gemara, it's clear that's what we're talking about. He said kikari alecha because it still belongs to me. It's still shali. When I come to my house to eat the food at the table doesn't belong to you. You have rishus to eat it. You have permission to eat it. It doesn't belong to you. So that's why he said kikari alecha, because it's still my bread. But when he said Kikaria, but if I gave it to you Matan, I willingly gave it to you. I lose the Shalo, and now it belongs to you. Not just do you have rights to Yudah, but you have monetary ownership over it. You have Shalo, physical ownership over it. So the Gemara rejects what Rava says at this point, and the Gemara says no, that if he gave it to him, it wouldn't be Aser Anam. He only said Kikari Alecha to tell you that if it's not yours, right? You came over to my house, I invited you for a meal. So then, in that case, it would be usher to you if you came and eat by a meal. But if I gave it to you, then it wouldn't be usher. So that seems at this point in the Gemara rejects Rava's answer, even though it seems the halacha is like that. We'll talk more about the sugya. The sugya goes into Daf Lamed Hey. At this point in the Gemara is saying if he gave it to Matana, it should be mutter for the person to benefit from it. We'll talk about this more tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed today's share. Stay tuned for Eating with Ben Sion. We discuss the difference between giving a present to you and inviting you to my house to eat a meal. Eating with Ben Sion coming up next.